guys, we are back with another song by Eminem. And which one are we doing today?
Today we are doing Yellow Brick Road. Do you know this?
I don't think so.
So I don't think you do either. A few months ago we had a conversation. I mentioned this song. You didn't know what I was talking about
Of
because
course.
I brought up the song Foolish Pride, which at that point you didn't know, but then I played it for you. I don't know if you remember, it was the one he got in trouble for. They were saying it was racist. He recorded it when I think he was in high school. He was dating a black girl. She broke up with him and he started making a song. So the backstory is that around this time, that song resurfaced or leaked. I don't know. It existed for all those years, but then it was made public. And, people were attacking him, calling him racist, wanting him to answer for it. So this
This is his answer.
song is a direct, response to that tape and everything.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
So we will check it out.
Okay. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on all social media channels. Links are in the description below, and our username's right there too. I always shove these in way too far, and then it gets all suctiony, and I can't hear.
Yeah.
Weird.
All right.
What we have to do is deal with it when these individuals are young enough, if you will, to be saved, not in a religious sense, but not to constitute what this country at times calls their throwaway children.
We seem to be approaching an age of the gross.
We all have this idea that we should move up a little bit from our parent station, and each generation should do a little bit better.
Alright, come on, let's cut the bullshit enough. Let's get it started and start addressing this issue and open it up. Let's take the shit back to the basement and we can discuss statements that's made on this tape and its whole origin of the music that we all know and love, the music we all enjoy, the music you accuse me of trying to destroy. Let's rewind it to 89 when I was a boy on the east side of Detroit, crossing 8 Mile in the Warren in the hick territory. I like to share a story. This is my story and can't nobody tell it for me. Do it well informed me. I'm well aware that I don't belong here. You made that perfectly clear. I get my ass kicked damn near everywhere, from Bel Air shopping center just for stopping in there, from the black side all the way to the white side. Okay, there's a bright side, a day that I might slide. You may call it a pass, I call it hauling my ass through that patch of grass over them railroad tracks. Oh, them railroad tracks, them old railroad tracks, them good old notorious, so well-known tracks.
Paused it before the chorus.
Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely don't know this, right?
No.
So the intro was it's an amalgamation. There's
It sounded like news clips.
yeah, it was 2 or 3 different people. I forget. I looked it up at some point. I don't remember who they are. I remember I used to think one of the guys that started talking, I thought it was Jerry Springer. It's not, but that's who the voice reminded me of.
Yeah.
Well, one of them, I don't remember which one, was Spiro Agnew, who was vice president. So I don't know which one he is, but whatever.
You be the gross one?
Maybe. Actually, I think it might be.
I felt like I had heard that somewhere. Maybe.
Yeah. So it starts off with these different commentators, and it says what we have to do is deal with it when these individuals are young enough, I thought it said if you will, to be saved, not in a religious sense, but not to constitute what this country at times calls if of or which over.
I had no idea if maybe these lyrics are wrong or if whoever is saying this voiceover is not really saying anything.
Okay, so I've learned my lesson. I always have the lyrics pulled up here. So it says what we have to do is deal with it when these individuals are young enough, if you will, to be saved, not in a religious sense, but not to constitute what this country at times calls their throwaway children. So, okay, yeah, this is very different. These lyrics are wrong.
Yeah, it's what? This sounds like nonsense.
Yes. And then it says, we seem to be approaching an age of the gross, and then you hear Eminem burp, which is very funny. And then you hear, we all have this idea that we should move up a little bit from our parent station.
Spiro Agnew who said that. The year of the gross.
Oh, it says that?
Well, what they're trying to do, I think, is the Morris is written. You see, one's italicized, one's
Correct.
bolded, whatever.
So it says Morris Casuto, Spiro Agnew, Randy
Ballsack?
Blazik, and Eminem. So I don't know who to. And then it says, we all have this idea that we should move up a little bit from our parent station, and each generation should do a little bit better. So
It's a good message.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that was included, but they were.
But I feel like our generation, we like had such big, like such great intentions to do better than the previous generations. But I feel like so many people I know, like no one's doing as well as their parents were, just simply because of like inflation and everything.
Yeah.
And like how difficult it is to even own a house these days.
Yeah, for sure. So Eminem comes in. He starts by saying, all right, calm down. Let's cut the bullshit. Enough. Let's get it started. Let's start addressing this issue and open it up. Let's take this shit back to basement and we can discuss statements. So that's a, so I believe.
That's intentional?
Yes.
Oh.
So I believe it was Basement Records or something. It was like his friend. So I do believe it was in a basement physically. But I believe the production or the label that was trying to be started by his friend was called Basement Records or whatever.
That's pretty cool. It's clever.
Yes. So it says, let's take this shit back to basement and we can discuss statements that's made on this tape. So again, the tape was the Foolish Pride song.
Yeah.
He says, and its whole origin of the music that we all know and love, the music that we all enjoy, the music you all accuse me of trying to destroy. Let's rewind it to 89 when I was a boy on the east side of Detroit, cross an 8 mile into, so I believe it's into the border of, I think it's Warren, Michigan. Let's see, this is why I have these lyrics up here. It is on the east side of Detroit, cross an 8 mile into Warren, into Hick territory, not hate territory. Hick territory, yes. And it is Warren, not in the border. Then it says, I'd like to share a story. This is my story, and can't nobody tell it for me. You have well informed me. I am well aware that I don't belong here. You've made that perfectly clear. I get my ass kicked damn near everywhere. So he's saying no matter where he goes.
Yeah, and we know that. He raps about that a lot.
Yes. From Bel Air Shopping Center just for stopping in there. From the black side all the way to the white side. Okay, there's a bright side, a day that I might slide. You may call it a pass, I call it hole in my ass.
So is he saying he was getting beat no matter what side he was on?
Yes. The black people didn't like him, the white people didn't like him.
Aww.
Yeah. So black people are like, what are you doing trying to rap? You're white. And the white people are like, why are you trying to act black? You know what I mean?
Okay.
So he got it from all angles. And then he says, there's a bright side. One day he gets a slide, meaning he doesn't get his ass kicked.
That's
and
good.
He says, you may call it a pass, meaning people gave him a pass and just didn't beat his ass. But he's saying, no, I call it hole in my ass.
He just outran them.
That's the only reason he didn't get his ass kicked. Yes. Yeah, whole ass through that patch of grass over them railroad tracks. Oh, them railroad tracks, them old railroad tracks, them good old notorious, well-known tracks. All right, and that's where we left off, so we'll pick up with the chorus here.
Good old notorious, so well-known tracks. So let's go back, follow the yellow brick road as we go on another episode. Journey with me as I take you through this nifty little place that I once used to call home, sweet home. Come on, let's go back, follow the yellow brick road as we go on another episode. Journey with me as I take you through this nifty little place that I once used to call home, sweet home. I roam the streets so much they call me a drifter. Sometimes I'd stick up a thumb just to hitchhike, just to get picked up, to get me a lift up. 8 Mile and Van Dyke, or steal a goddamn bike from somebody's backyard, drop it off at the park. That was the halfway mark to meet Kim at, to walk back to her mama's on Chalmers after dark, to sneak me in the house when I'm kicked out my mom's. That's about the time I first met Proof with Goofy Gary on the steps at Osborne, handing out some flyers. He was doing some talent shows at Centerline High. I told him to stop by and check us out sometime. He looked at me like I'm out my mind, shook his head like white boys don't know how to rhyme. I spit out a line and rhyme birthday with first place, and we both had the same rhymes that sound alike. We was on the same shit, that Big Daddy Kane shit, but compound syllable sound combined. From that day we was down the ride. Somehow we knew we'd meet again somewhere down the line. So let's go.
Aw, that's cute.
Yeah, it is. So we will go over the chorus. So the chorus is, so let's go back, follow the yellow brick road as we go on another episode. Journey with me as I take you through this nifty little place that I once used to call home sweet home. So obviously, yellow brick road, allusion to the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Follow the yellow brick road.
In Home Sweet Home.
Yes. So what he's doing in this song is by saying follow the yellow brick road, he's going back into his history and he's taking you on a journey from where he started to how he got here now. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're following the yellow brick road.
Like
almost.
what happened.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's like a flashback, you know what I mean? To modern day when he's obviously writing this and talking about the nifty little place, you know, so Detroit where he grew up.
Mhm.
All right. Then the second, I think that they called this a bridge, but whatever. It's verse kind of.
Whatever.
So he says, I roam the streets so much they call me a drifter. Sometimes I stick up a thumb just to hitchhike, just to get picked up, to get me a lift to 8 Mile in Van Dyke, and steal a goddamn bike from somebody's backyard, which is funny. Drop it off at the park. That was the halfway mark. To meet Kim, had to walk back to her mama's on Chalmers after dark.
What's Chalmers?
I think it's just a street or road or
okay.
you know place in Detroit. Yeah, where was I? Chalmers after dark to sneak me in the house when I'm kicked out my mom's. Think that's about the time I first met Proof with Goofy Gary on the steps at Osborne. So yeah, he's talking about he was roaming the streets. He didn't have much. He didn't have money. He was poor. He would have to steal other people's bikes
just to get to where he had to go.
Yeah, or hitchhike, you know, and then he'd drop it off at the park, which he's saying was the halfway point where he would meet Kim, which is where he would go when he was thrown out of his mom's house. And then he says, that's about the first time I met Proof. So his best friend, the one that died from D12, and Goofy Gary, who is Gary from the Kiss skit.
That's so funny.
Yes. On the steps at Osborne. So I don't know if that's a school. I don't know if Osborne was the school or not. Maybe, but whatever. That's where he met them. And then he says, handing out some flyers. He was doing some talent shows so at Centerline High. So that was Proof. He was, you know, handing out flyers for a talent show.
It's like a grocery store. You know how people hand out flyers outside of.
So I think they went to different high schools. So maybe I don't know. Whatever. So he was handing out flyers for the talent shows at Centerline High. It said I had told him to stop by and check this out sometime. Check me out sometime. I don't know. He looked at me like I'm out my mind, shook his head like white boys don't know how to rhyme, which is funny. So that was Proof's first reaction to meeting Eminem. White boys don't know how to rhyme. So there's a line missing here. These fucking lyrics suck.
Yeah, I remember hearing that something's not tying in.
Okay, yes. So I told him to stop by and check us out sometime. He looked at me like
They're
I'm out
missing
my
I
boy.
spit out a line.
Yeah, he said shook his head like white boys don't know how to rhyme. I spit out a line and rhymed birthday with first place, which is funny.
Yeah.
And we both had the same rhymes that sound alike. We was on that same shit, that Big Daddy Kane shit, with compound syllables sound combined. From that day we was down to ride. So
That's so cute.
Proof was like, white boys can't rhyme. Eminem rhymed, very similar to the way Proof rhymed. And they were doing what Big Daddy Kane, who was a rapper back then, and compound syllables. So the way, you know, and rhyming the words that sound similar, like he did birthday in first place, weird shit like that. And then he says, from that day we was down to ride. So, oh, and then he says, somehow we knew we'd meet again somewhere down the line. And then the chorus again.
Mm-hmm.
And we listened to this. Did we listen to the second chorus? Yeah,
I don't know.
I'll pick it up here and we'll just go into the second thing.
So let's go back, follow the yellow brick road as we go on another episode. Journey with me as I take it through this nifty little place that I once used to call home, sweet home. Come on, let's go back, follow the yellow brick road as we go on another episode. Journey with me as I take you through this nifty little place that I once used to call home, sweet home. My first year in 9th grade, can't forget that day at school. It was cool till your man MC Shan came through and said that Puma's the brand, cause the clan makes troops. It was rumors, but man, goddamn, they flew. Must have been true because man, we done banned they shoes. I had the new ones, the Cool J Ice Lamb Sway too, but we just threw them in the trash like the yesterday's news. Guess who came through next? X-Clan debuted, Professor X and Glory exists in a state of red, black, and green with a key, sissies. Now with this being the new trend, we don't fit in. Crackers is out with cactus albums, blackness is in. African symbols and medallions represent black power, and we ain't know what it meant. Me and my man Howard and Butter would go to the mall with them all over our necks like we're showing them off, not knowing at all we was being laughed at. You ain't even half black, you ain't supposed to have that, homie, let me grab that. And that Flavor Flav clock, we gon' have to snatch that. All I remember is meeting back at Mannix's basement, saying how we hate this, our racist, but dope, the X-Clan's tape this, which reminds me, back in 89 me, when Kim broke up for the first time, she was trying to two-time me, and there was this black girl at our school who thought I was cool cause I rap, so she was kinda eyeing me, and oh, the irony, guess what her name was, ain't even gonna say it, plus, the same color hair as hers was, and blue contacts, and a pair of jugs, the bomb is goddamn girl in our whole school. If I could pull it, not only would I become more popular, but I would be able to piss him off at the same time. But it backfired, I was supposed to dump her, but she dumped me for this black guy, and that's the last I ever seen or heard or spoke to the old foolish pride girl. But I've heard people say they heard the tape, and it ain't that bad, but it was. I singled out a whole race, and for that I apologize. I was wrong, cause no matter what color a girl is, she's still a soul. Let's go back, follow the yellow brick road as we go on another episode.
Okay, so there is really only chorus left, but since we listened to the first chorus,
So wait, he was saying that the black girl that he dated, she would dye her hair blonde and wear blue contacts? Is that what he was saying?
I'm assuming
Or
so.
is he saying that, is that another girl?
No.
doing that?
So it sounded like the black girl wore contacts. I don't know if Kim was always a blonde or not. Maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, so it sounded like she was similar.
And I don't even know. I don't think I've ever seen what Kim looks like. I just assume she's blonde because,
Haley is.
yeah.
So I think she is, at least from the pictures I remember. I'm not sure though. All right, so these lyrics are fucking bastardized up here.
Yeah, I was reading it while I was listening, and I had absolutely zero idea of what was going on, and I was starting to feel really dumb.
No. So it's wrong. Plus, there's some old school references that are, we'll go over.
Okay.
So he says, my first year in 9th grade, can't forget that day at school. It was cool till your man MC Shan, Shan, came through and said that Puma's the brand because the clan made troops.
Wait,
It was rumors,
like
but
Puma,
man, goddamn, they flew.
like Puma, the shoe company?
Yes. Okay. So MC Shan was a rapper from Queens, I believe, and he had beef with LL Cool J. And in one of his rhymes, so let me back up again. LL Cool J had a shoe deal with a company called Troops. They don't even exist anymore.
Yeah, I never heard of them.
Yeah. So, but MC Shan's responsible for why they don't exist anymore. So, in a diss track, he literally says, Puma's the brand because the clan makes troops, meaning the Ku Klux Klan.
Is who makes the Troops brand?
Yes.
Do they? Did they?
It was just bullshit.
Oh my god.
I read, I think, on here that the owners were even Jewish, so he was just shit talking. They were beefing. So, MC Shan had that bar, and he said, Eminem says, it was rumors, but man, goddamn, they flew, right?
Like
So
people got rid of them?
yeah, so rumors that they were a racist shoe brand, a racist company. But he says must have been true because man, we done banned they shoes. And Eminem says, I had the new ones, the Cool J, Iceland, suede too. And it's supposed to be suede.
S-U-E-Z-E.
Yes. So he had the brand new LL Cool J troops, and they were called Iceland, and they were suede. And then he says, and we just threw them in the trash like they were yesterday's news. So a poor kid buying expensive fucking shoes, and because of the rumors that it was a racist company, fucking throws them out.
But why would a company owned by alleged Klan members
Do a deal with
feature
a black guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would never happen.
That
Not
doesn't
even
make
for
sense.
money.
No. No, yeah. If you're more racist, then you know what I mean? You would, you wouldn't value the money that
No,
much.
they're like very that just would not happen.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then he says, and we just threw them in the trash like they're yesterday's news. Yesterday's news. Guess who came through next? X-Clan debuted. So it's X-Clan, it
I
says.
know. I'm so confused. Like, what
So
the hell?
X-Clan was another group, right? And they were
Another shoe group or
no,
a rap
a
group?
rap group, and they
Shoe
were very like pro-black, and Eminem even says kind of like racist, anti-white even. So
Okay.
so he says, Professor X, and it says it's vainglorious, not endglorious. So that was like an ad lib, the vainglorious. It was like a rhyme that he would use, right?
Okay.
So yeah, it says, guess who came through next? X Clan debut, Professor X, and then you hear vainglorious, but it says glorious exists. Okay, and then it says exist in a state of red, black, and green with a key, sissies. So that's a line from Professor X from the X Clan, right? So where it says exist in a state of red, black, and green with a key, sissies. So that's an exact quote from one of their songs. And
Oh,
red, black, and green are the Pan-African, like the pro-black colors, right?
yeah.
And then the key is a reference to the Ankh, that cross with that
The
little the
circle?
circle on top.
Yeah.
So they call that a key,
Oh,
the key to the
okay.
Nile, right? So that's a quote from Professor X. Exist in a
Yeah, I
state of
had no
red,
idea.
black, and green. Honestly, I didn't know
I
till
had
I
no idea what
fucking
was going on
knew
here.
this song either. It was before my time. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
exist in a state of red, black, and green with the key, sissies. And he says, now with this being, Eminem then picks up saying, now with this being the trend, we don't fit in. Crackers is out with Cactus albums. Blackness is in, African symbols and medallions. So Crackers is out, obviously white people, and it says with Cactus albums. So that was the Cactus CD, I believe it was called by Third Base, which was Rob Bass. So the famous song "It Takes Two." Rob
Oh,
Bass.
okay.
So yeah, Third Base was they were an all white group. So what Eminem's
Third
yeah. So Eminem's point is that whiteness is out. Nobody's listening to Third Base anymore. White people aren't cool anymore. It's a very pro-black time in hip hop music. And I guess in the culture at large. So like he says, blackness is in, African symbols and medallions. And then he says, represents black power, and we ain't know what it meant. Me and my man Howard and Butter would go to the mall with them all over our necks.
like symbols,
Yeah, like all the
stickers.
pro-black garb and medallions and shit. And he says, we ain't know what it meant. Me and my man Howard and Butter would go to the mall with them all over our necks like we were showing them off, not knowing at all that we was being laughed at. And it says, you ain't even half black.
That's kind of funny.
You ain't supposed to have that. Homie, let me grab that. And that Flavor Flav clock, we're gonna have to snatch that. And then so he's at him and his white friends.
Should have been okay.
Yeah. So he was at the mall with his white friends wearing all the pro-black shit, and people were making fun of him, laughing at them, taking it off them, all that shit. And then he says, all I remember is meeting back at Mannix's basement, saying how we hate this, how racist but dope the X-Clan's tape is. So he goes back to his friend's house, the basement. They're saying this sucks. They're like, oh, the X-Clan, they're fucking racist, but the music is awesome. He spoke about this in an interview that he like really loved the music, and it upset him that they
Like that he's kind of ostracized from
yeah,
listening to
they're
it.
calling like white people polar bears and like actually like exclusionary. And then he gave like in an interview he equated to like Public Enemy, who was very pro black, but like he didn't feel as if they were like excluding white people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He said the way the X-Clan shit made him feel was that they were like, no, dude, this is not for white people. You know what I mean? So he was saying he was in a tough place because he actually really likes the music, but the
Yeah.
message,
He couldn't like.
yeah, he couldn't square those two things. Then he picks up saying, which reminds me, back in '89, me and Kim broke up for the first time. She was trying to two-time me, and there was this black girl at our school who thought I was cool because I rapped, so she was kind of eyeing me. And oh, the irony, guess what her name was?
Kim.
And then he says, ain't even gonna say it. Plus the same color hair as hers was, and blue contacts, and a pair of jugs. The bombest goddamn girl at our whole school. If I could pull it, not only would I become more popular, but I would be able to piss Kim off at the same time. So yeah, he meets this girl who happens to be black. She has the same color hair and wearing blue contacts like Kim. She has big tits. Then he says, she kind of liked him because he rapped and stuff. And he was like, oh, I'll kill two birds with one stone. I'll date the prettiest girl in school and I'll piss off Kim. And then he says, but it backfired. I was supposed to dump her, but she dumped me for this black guy. And that's the last I ever heard or spoke to the oh foolish pride girl. But I've heard people say they heard the tape and it ain't that bad. But it was. I singled out a whole race, and for that I apologize. I was wrong, because no matter what color a girl is, she's still a hoe, which is very Eminem way to deal with it. Being like kind of serious, but then throwing in a fucking joke at the end there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's only a little bit of chorus left, but we'll just play it out.
Okay.
This nifty little place that I once used to call home, sweet home. Let's go back, follow the yellow brick road as we go on another episode. Journey with me as I take you through this nifty little place that I once used to call home, sweet home.
Okay. Yellow Brick Road.
So that's cool that he like kind of like apologized because yeah, a lot of people from what you told me didn't like that and were not very happy about the existence of that song.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, I played it for you.
I remember it, I think.
It was like, well, besides the fact that it was like old and shitty quality, you know what I mean? It was like a shitty song and the rhymes weren't that good. The content
it
was
sounded
what
really
was,
old.
yeah, and what the content was fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he could have just went off on her, but instead, like, he went off on, like, beyond her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's good that he apologized and, like, squared things away and explained his side of the story of everything. It's cool. I don't think I would listen to it again.
No, yeah.
But it was good that he did that.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people feel like that about this album in general. Encore. I actually like it. So it's not my favorite Eminem album, but I don't know if I would say it's my least favorite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's like some really good shit on here. But yeah, as for Yellow Brick Road, it's cool. I actually find the chorus to be catchy. It gets stuck in my head sometimes, like randomly,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It adds more to Eminem's backstory, for his fans. He gets to hear, we get to hear about him growing up, you know what I mean? And he talks about, how he managed being poor and dealing with racism from both sides of the fence, and not knowing how to deal with it and manage. And, it's interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, yeah, this is very narrative. This is a story, you
Yeah,
know what
it's
I
a
mean?
complete story.
As opposed to like, like crazy like bars. I mean, it rhymed, you know what I mean?
I
It
feel
was
like he
cool.
just felt like he had to get this out there.
And address it, yeah, for sure.
It was good that he did that.
Yeah, because so he had a line in there. He's in the very first verse where he says, Let's talk about this, the music that we all love that you accuse me of trying to destroy.
Mm.
Because there was a big movement, I think specifically from like Benzino and the Source magazine, where they might have even been the ones that released this. I'm not sure. Like the tape, they might have been the ones that got a hold of it and resurfaced it.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah, maybe. Don't quote me on that, because.
Okay.
But whatever. They definitely were saying that he was destroying hip hop and that he's racist and he's trying to. He's a culture vulture and trying to steal black people's music, all that shit. So that was going on at the time. So he dealt with it here. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And he was like, "No, I love this music." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
All right. Well, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Bye.